Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I just read Black Legion by ADB and it's really dope. Black Legion is a sequel to The Tale of Horus, so if you haven't read that one, you want to avoid spoilers, you might want to go and read that one first. It's really good. Regardless, you have been warned, so let's continue. Black Legion continues the story of the characters from the first novel, which is still told in the past tense by a captured Iskander Kion on Terra. The Black Legion has been expanded quite a lot since the first novel, with many other legionaries and also a couple of known characters such as Saraxia. They have managed to unite a significant portion of the Trader Astartes and are now planning to finally escape the Eye of Terror in order to start a long war. There are two problems, however. First of all, Abaddon has a very competent rival in Daravak, a dead guard marine who has also started a Black Legion of sorts. There can of course only be one War Master, so both want the other to be executed, and Kion has been tasked with the assassination but is struggling to succeed. Meanwhile, it has also become clear that the Black Templars are patrolling around the Eye of Terror, so even if they manage to successfully get to real space, they would immediately have to fight their way out of an ambush. How our favorite anti-heroes managed to deal with all of this? That's the story of this book. Just like with The Tale of Horus, the creativeness of all the characters, magic and setting is the big highlight of this novel. Whether it's the Warp Ghost, the Forsaken Craft World or the Dead Guard, all of them feel cool and unique. Throughout this series, ADB is really showing a talent for creating very creative concepts and conveying them with clearly understandable language. One slight downside this book has over its predecessor though is that we already know most of the cast. One of the best parts of The Tale of Horus was being introduced to characters such as Telemachon or Firefist. But especially in the first part of this novel, we are already familiar with all the characters present. This combined with the fact that much of the first half takes place on the relatively boring Vengeful Spirit makes it so that the start kinda lacks the factor that The Tale of Horus did have. Something else that this book did have is a new theme. In The Tale of Horus the focus was on unity, brotherhood and loneliness. This novel instead explores Vindicta, or in understandable English, vengeance. Where the first book showed why all the legionaries united under one banner, this book explains why they fight, and why this fighting spirit is so important to them. Because of this, we also get to see a very different side of our favorite Thousand Sons twink, which I won't spoil here, but trust me, it's pretty cool. Oh, and this is maybe also the right time to mention the Black Templars, and more importantly, Sigismund. Naturally, I can't say much about what they do, but the Black Templars are portrayed as complete badasses in this book, so if you're into Black Templars, this might also be worth a read. Another great thing about the novel is Kion's character progression. Throughout the novel he goes through quite some interesting events which have a significant impact on him. Now that in and of itself would already be pretty cool, but what really makes it a highlight of the novel is that Kion is also the narrator. This means that we get to learn things along our main character and then immediately see his own reflections upon this, which I found rather nice. Then let's talk about the other downside of this novel, and that is the increased levels of Abaddon. Now don't get me wrong, Abaddon is not a bad character, but whereas we get to see so many fun interactions between all the cool characters in the previous novel, this novel really puts the focus on Abaddon and Kion. I personally think this is a bit of a shame as these side characters' interactions added a lot of extra flair and complexity to the story. This novel unfortunately lacks this a bit. I mean, Telemachon only sexually harasses someone once, and Lior doesn't do much more than looking angrily as he commands his soldiers. The only exception is Kion's sister, who fortunately did get her time in the spotlight. Then finally, just like every book by ADB, this book contains plenty of his typical dry humor and once again provides some excellent quotes to add to the ever-growing list of badass ADB quotes. Oh, and this novel also sees the return of some of the best void battle scenes in the Black Library, reminiscent of the Night Lords trilogy. All in all, I think I'm going to give this book 4 to 5 saber-toothed tigers. It might also be 5, but because it didn't really blow me away as much as the first one, I'm going to go with 4 stars for now. Regardless, it's still a really fun novel that I'd recommend to everyone interested in the Chaos factions and maybe also to fans of the Black Templars. Anyway, that's all I got for you today.
If you liked this video, please consider subscribing and click ringing the bell to appease the Great Horned Rat. For more lore content, please check my main channel and leave any book recommendations in the comments down below. I gotta get back to reading the next book.